The defense in Diddy's case tried to get the case thrown out. Woo! Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and it is time for another Daily Diddy, bringing you daily updates from the P. Diddy trial until we get a verdict. So today is pretty much the end of the case, and let me break down what happened, and then I'll get into why the defense tried to get the case tossed out. So first off, we started back today with Homeland Security Agent Cerciello, who has been testifying for the last couple days as a summation witness for the prosecution. Now, today was all about cross-examination, and so defense counsel really went through line by line of the different text messages that were introduced. She, of course, was harping on the fact that these weren't all the text messages that were exchanged between the parties, but he held his ground. The other big aspect that the defense attorney was really focused on was Jane's text messages. Now, she was really pointing to the text messages that Jane was exchanging with Diddy that were loving and tender, or talking about a freak-off, hotel night, King's night. Those are the three words that are being phrases used interchangeably to talk about the freak-offs, but talking about how some of them were fun, also showing that she was playing an active role in booking the sex workers and interacting with them. So she was basically trying to show, and she being Tenny Garagos from the defense team, was really trying to show that Jane had her own agency, like she can come and go as she pleased. She wasn't being coerced, she wasn't being controlled, and that she could have left at any time. And these were activities done by consenting adults. That's basically the crux of their entire case. So after the defense concluded their cross-examination of Agent Cerciello, the prosecution rested their case, meaning they told the judge, we have no more witnesses to call, we have no more evidence to introduce, we are done, therefore the prosecution rests. So what happens after that? The defense then gets an opportunity to be able to present witnesses if they choose to. Well, they decided that they were not going to introduce any evidence or any witnesses, and Diddy said officially that he was not going to testify. The judge made sure, like, hey, are you doing this of your own free will? Did you discuss this decision with your attorneys? Do you understand that you have a right to remain silent, but you also can testify as well? He made it clear that he understood, so that was that. So then after that happened, then the defense rested, meaning they're like, our side of the case is done, like, we're ready to go. So now the next step would be closing arguments, but before that, the defense filed a motion asking the judge to drop the case. So in legal terms, what they were asking for is a judgment of acquittal. Basically, they go to the judge and they say, if you take all the evidence, all the witnesses that were presented, everything, all 34 people that got up and testified, everything that was introduced, if you look at all of it in the light most favorable to the prosecution, so saying everything here is accurate and the prosecution proved everything, that this information is not enough to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's just basically a fancy way of saying, even if you look at all the evidence and you give the prosecution the benefit of the doubt, they still didn't prove their case. Therefore, this case should not go to the jury because there's nothing for the jury to decide. They were saying that basically RICO and racketeering wasn't proven because there was no clear evidence of a conspiracy. They, of course, reiterated that these were consenting adults, that there was no bribery, there was no extortion, all of that, just to prove the point. Now, the judge hasn't ruled on it yet. I anticipate that he's not going to grant the motion. Now, this motion is standard. In every single criminal trial around the country, there's always a motion for a judgment of acquittal. They call it different things, but it's something that's always done. Sometimes the judge grants it. It's not like it never gets granted. It does get granted if the prosecution didn't bring forth enough evidence to be able to get over that hurdle. But, most of the time, that motion is denied, and then they go to closing arguments. Both sides go to closing arguments, and then the jury gets to deliberate and make a decision. So where we're at now, the jury is going to come back on Thursday at 9 a.m. to start hearing closing arguments. Tomorrow is going to be the charge conference where both sides are going to debate about what the jury instructions should look like. I'm going to give you guys a taste of what a closing argument looks like. So stay tuned, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.